Welcome back, comrades. This is Gaming with Austin. Today, we're off to episode 13 of Season 2. The reason I didn't exercise because of my Christmas thing with my dad's siblings. With my aunts and uncles on my dad's side of the family. The reason why freedom is ultimately not free, one of the factors, you gotta go into both cosmology, which is the study of space, physics, and the study of law. At a county level, a city level, a state level, a federal level, and international level. Because there are laws that override all the federal laws that every country must keep in place. One of those laws that no country is allowed to legalize, is laws regarding terrorism. Because legalizing terrorism ultimately violates the Geneva Convention. Some countries do commit something called state terrorism, which is basically what political repression is. I call political repression in any form state terrorism. With Nazis, I'd frown upon Nazism. Because of what happened when Germany was taken over by the Nazis. There was so much political repression that after World War II, both East and Western Germany agreed to not do any more ethnic cleansing. Western Germany was more like what George Orwell was closer to George Orwell's ideology than East Germany. I am part of the anti-Stalinist left. The truth is that we need to respect each other's right to live. And instead of selling food to them, we should just give it to them. Because it's ultimately better for the human race if we just give it to them. That the economic planning should be distributed. It should be distributed based on physiological needs of the citizens. Based on the physiological need. Based on our true needs. Like, some people have a greater need for food than others. So it wouldn't be perfectly equal because children would have to be given more food. So the growth spurts wouldn't be as painful. Well, I look like whenever I go to Disney World, I might have some facial hair. I know quality of life might suffer whenever I go live out inside a school bus, but in the end, it's more economical. Because consumerism is making our economy worse. Same thing with capitalism. In my interpretation of communism, one of the concepts is direct democracy and collective leadership. Like, there'd still be a Bill of Rights. Gun control and gun rights would be balanced. There'd be balance between the two. If I was between the left wing and right wing, I'd be on the far left. Libertarianism is an extreme version of liberalism. Like, you know, it's possible to be a liberal and a reactionary at the same time. What we need is our production to be as economical as possible while still being sustainable. Petroleum's not sustainable at all. It's anything but sustainable. It's bad for the environment. What we need to do is adhere to a diet that is sustainable, meaning no meat in our diet whatsoever. Nature takes care of itself. When there is so much population within a deer, or so much deer out in the wilderness, wolves can do the trick. If I start breeding wolves, like one thing that can help maximize, like with the economic planning policies, our goal is to be as productive as possible, while still being as efficient. Because we, like all the other animals, evolved to take the path of least resistance. Because biologically, animals, like back in the Stone Age, we had no choice but to sit on our ass and do nothing all day. We had no choice but to do that. One of the genetic traits that are considered desirable is slowing down our metabolism. Which means that not only we are more likely to survive a famine, but we are also more likely to not compete as violently. The true incentive for what we need is a collective incentive. Like, all the assets should be commonly owned. Another concept within my communist ideology would be bartering and vegetarianism. And the gift economy. Since children can't go out and work on the fields, they have like, your true needs would depend on your metabolism. Whenever your metabolism slows down, you wouldn't have to eat as much. The truth is, if you have more cells and those cells were much smaller, the cellular metabolism would slow down. That's how elephants can live a very long lifespan, even though they're huge. Their cellular metabolism is much slower. It's basically like making a transistor smaller. The smaller transistors are, the more efficient they become. That's how we can increase the clock rates of CPUs. Adding more cores can do the trick too. Think of a neuron like a CPU core. And eventually, we'll be breaking the teraflop barrier for even the lowest end of CPUs. There's oligarchic totalitarianism, which is what a one-party state basically is. Autocratic totalitarianism is what Nazi Germany was. Group decision-making is important. The problem with what we need, the best form of democracy is a direct democracy. I'm in favor of direct democracy. But you know, cats, they all share a common diet. Physiologically, they need to share a common diet. The goal is to start veganizing the goal is to bring forth veganism across the world. What we should do is try to control our hunting behavior. Because we're not supposed to be hunting at all. The lines, Primo Victoria. You'd never see a lion grazing. For me, one of the things I'd be eating, if someone gave me a hunk of meat to eat, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna go, fuck no. What we need to do big cats are known for being very violent compared to humans. Their violence is out of survival. Deer have antlers to defend themselves from predators. If you take the strongest animal out of a family of deer, it can drive entire deer to extinction very quickly. I agree that we need to shorten hunting season. Because animal hunting is, I see it as cruel. The consequence of putting your cat on a vegan diet, the cat can literally die. Feral cats are known for interbreeding with wild cat species. Too much interbreeding can lead to between species can lead to extinction. Big cats are very violent, which is why they are a bitch to try and domesticate. It's also really dangerous to try to domesticate big cats. When we first domesticated cats, more like they domesticated themselves. They made themselves more useful for humans. Because cats eat mice, and mice proliferate very quickly, deprecating our crops. Cats tend to be very useful in agriculture. Problem with using cats as a source of food for humans is that they're higher up the food chain compared to cows. How are babies made? Before the baby is ever conceived, it's conceived through a process called mating, which is the zoological term. Like, I know there are some people out there who watch dirty videos on the internet. Biological term for the actions in those dirty videos is called mating. I've seen some of my mom's dogs do that. We humans, since we're bipedal, have a lot of mounting positions. But the way dogs do it, I'm trying to not to make a GTA 5 reference right there. Wait, I did. I was trying not to make a GTA 5 reference. One of the most controversial parts of GTA 5 is where you have to torture a victim in one of the missions by ripping out one of their teeth. Ripping out a tooth. Ouch. Not only that, but we need some sort of firewall to prevent Nazi propaganda from going into our systems. Because neo-Nazis are now using the internet to recruit people. Through the Nazi lines, D-Day upon us. In the rhyme of the ancient mariner. The consequence of buying leather is the death of an animal. That is the invariable consequence. A possible consequence of eating monkey brains is the development of mad cow disease. The human form of mad cow disease, called variant CJD. Most cases of mad cow disease are acquired in cattle. Some of them are sporadic, and some of them are genetic. Some cases of mad cow disease are brought on by a genetic mutation. Some of the cattle who get genetic mad cow disease spend the rest of their life with no sleep. Similar to how fatal familial insomnia progresses before the patient ultimately dies. If I was on the early stages of fatal insomnia, I'd have to make every last second count. I'd have to make every last second count of my life. One method to prevent mad cow disease is have your entire herd of cows go through genetic testing. Have the whole herd tested, not only through fecal droppings, also known as cow dung, but also through genetic testing too, because some cases of mad cow are genetic. Some of them happen for no reason, just like how sporadic CJD develops. Fatal insomnia is a very rare form of CJD. If you have family members with fatal insomnia, like in the genetic form, you may want to reconsider donating any part of your blood, because it can spread variant CJD. The reason why eating the animal brains, yes, this includes human brains, is frowned upon in most societies, which is also the same reason why cannibalism is frowned upon, because of the risks of CJD. A form of CJD that is transmitted through cannibalism, called kuru. It only happened in the Foray tribe, who practiced cannibalism. In tribes that practiced cannibalism, where they ate their deceased loved ones as part of a mortuary ritual. A funerary ritual. A ritual is known as a rite of passage. The mad cow disease scare was the mad cow disease and so many cattle that led to variant CJD. It was brought on by intensive animal farming. The animal abuse that is happening on our factory farms, it is a demand-driven problem. It's a problem driven by the high demand for meat. It's not a supply-driven problem. It's a demand-driven problem. Just like how the drug epidemic, how drug trafficking is a demand-driven problem when the demand for street drugs is so high because of addiction. Border walls don't always work, because traffickers have a way around it. Primo Victoria, on the 6th of June, on the shores of Western Europe. It's not just cannibalism that can transmit CJD. Even if it's legal, it's still wrong. Most of us agree that we shouldn't practice it. My main reason never to practice cannibalism, unless you really have to, like if there's a famine, it's related to the potential for CJD from cannibalism. Some members of if it wasn't for cannibalism, CJD would have been a lot more common. If it wasn't for cannibalism. Anyways, this is it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you liked this video, dislike if you disliked it, subscribe for more. Share this with your comrades on social media. As always, thank you for watching, and peace out.